I don't know how I'm still here. I remember I was in hospital delivering my third child, and a doctor said to me, "You won't see 30." Okay. I'm not stupid. I'm aware that I can't stay this weight and stay alive. Something has to give at some point, because I think I've been very lucky and pushed the boundaries for a very, very lot for decades, 30 years, probably longer than I should have. I would buy three pizzas and eat three pizzas. I mean, not giant pizzas, they're about the size of a laptop, but still, I would eat three pizzas, and I would go past the point of feeling unwell and keep eating, and it still tasted good. That's the difference. Because it still tastes okay, we keep going. But with meat and with the way I'm eating now, I can eat.
Hello, everyone. Adam with Carnivore Today. Today we have a very special guest, Katherine Carr. So, Katherine, for those that don't know you, can you introduce yourself?
Sure can. Thank you very much, Adam, for having me on your podcast. I feel very privileged. It's such a great thing to be able to share our stories. I have loved watching so many other stories. That's kind of why I'm here. And I've worked as a professional musician throughout my life, and as a teacher and educator, and that side of my career and my life and everything else has gone amazingly. I've been very blessed. I have three grown children, three beautiful women, and two grandsons. And I'm going to be turning 60 this year, which I see as the new 40. It's, 60 to me many decades ago was like hemispherically high and old. And now that I'm there, I'm like, no, I don't think so. Not at all. I'm just starting a new career at the moment. I've been studying, and I am studying at the moment, a graduate diploma in teaching for primary. And I'm just in the middle of applying for jobs, which I'll be hopefully employed by the end of July when I finish studying. So there's no time limit on when we can change jobs or stop learning or anything. If we decide we want to do something, we can. And in June, I decided that carnivore was for me. I binged watch Limitless Lindy's a lot of her videos and podcasts and interviews, and I was like, "Wow, this is incredible! I need to find out more." And then I found that same weekend, I think I just watched uh, videos on YouTube all the time because Queen's birthday, well, it's King's birthday weekend, is a holiday weekend for us, and it was from there that I decided this is for me. I've been keto for about 7 years ish, and I've basically been a sugar addict since I was 8 years old. I'd go to ballet classes, and one of my classmates would dare me to steal sweets from the local dairy. I was really good at
Oh,
it,
wow.
and since then, I remember there were times when I'd be in mum's in our pantry, which was like a room, sitting in there just chowing down on sugar, brown sugar, or just crazy as a child. And although I was very fit and active, we did tramping and skiing and all sorts of outdoor pursuits every single weekend and after school. It kind of hid the fact that I had put on a lot of weight. My mother had me on some kind of low fat, low sugar, alternate sugar diet from the age of 12. And I'm quite tall, I'm 5'10", so I can kind of absorb it. So nobody ever really knew how heavy I was. And even now, when people hear my weight, they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I've since June I've lost 30 kilos, which is because we're in kilos here in New Zealand. Which I don't know, is that 65 pound or is that more, something like that? Don't know.
Not sure. We'll make
Um,
sure we put that in the comments, though.
yeah, and not only that, but I've reversed very serious arthritis, bone on bone, bone through bone, knee arthritis. The arthritis you can still see there in the scan, but I had an X-ray in November and saw my orthopedic surgeon, and he was like, "I'll see you in a year." And I went to him to organise a second knee replacement, and he was like, "Why are you using a crutch?" And I've been using a crutch for 4 years since my first knee replacement, and I haven't used a crutch for 3 months. I
Wow.
can't walk kilometres, but I do everything, and I get around now without a crutch. So it's a game changer. It's after
Wow.
walking with one for 4 years, it's just amazing. Um, I don't have arthritis in my hands, and I'm a pianist, and my little fingers were getting quite restricted and feeling tight. Even holding the steering wheel when driving, after about 10 minutes, they'd be aching. That has all gone. So the weight, the arthritis, the cognitive ability, I do not believe I would be able to be doing the study that I'm doing the way I'm doing it if I wasn't on carnivore. My procrastination button has there's there's no on switch. I'm never procrastinating. I'm always doing something. And before I'd be like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow or the next day or even the next day. And now I just do stuff. I've never been somebody that hasn't had a lot of energy. I've always done a lot. But now I feel like I'm doing it a whole lot better. Um, my asthma. I've been on asthma medication since I was 14. And so you heard me then, I just did a big intake of breath. I couldn't do that before. It would be wheeze, especially at 6
Wow.
a.m. in the morning, which is what it currently is here. Um, and that I was on very heavy doses of Symbicort and also allergic rhinitis. So I've had severe sinus issues all my life. And suddenly I don't. So obviously, I mean, asthma is an allergic reaction, right? I was obviously allergic to the food I was eating. Um,
Crazy how simple that is.
but that's exactly what it is. Asthma is an allergic response. I know this because my middle child was a chronic asthmatic, and I did everything under the power of anything I could find to help her because she was so severe. Um, she spent so many days in hospital of her schooling, and I tried everything. I got rid of my cat. We redecorated the house with special paint. She was so severe that we just tried everything, and it might have just been the food.
Right.
She's now a half marathon runner, and has put her dosages of her asthma medication. She's down to about one puff a day too. So that's good. She's not carnivore, but she's very clean eating.
Oh,
Very
that's
clean.
good.
Yeah, it is. So I think that's
That's
kind
good.
of about where I'm at.
Hey there. Quick message. Doing carnivore alone can feel isolating. That's why we built Healing Humanity Life. It's the Good Vibe Tribe. Real support, expert Q&As, and unlimited access to courses like our Carnivore Diet Foundations course. No more figuring it out solo. Links in the description. Well, it sounds like you're in great health right now. I mean, especially you're making comments that you're almost 60 and you feel like, you're 40
Yeah.
and possibly even better than that. So let's kind of rewind a little bit and go back to your situation that you had with asthma. How long did you have the asthma?
I was first properly diagnosed when I was 7 or 8. So you know what? That might have been around about the same time when I think about it now as when I started stealing sweets from the local dairy. Um, and my dad used to do this wonderful thing, which now in hindsight maybe not so wonderful, but it was wonderful. Every morning he woke me up by putting next to my bed a glass of freshly squeezed orange juice and a saucer of beautifully sliced fruit every morning. And Maybe that wasn't so great.
No, it was nice. It was a nice gesture, though.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was, it was so cute. um, I'm very lucky. I don't have high blood pressure. I don't have diabetes. I don't have a heart condition. But my weight is, I'm just at the moment down to 145 kilos. But I haven't been below this weight for 20 years. And I have been up to 205 kilos, whatever pounds that is. It's probably like 450, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know how I'm still here because all the doctors. I remember I was in hospital delivering my third child, and a doctor said to me, "You won't see 30." Okay, um, and
That's wow.
yeah, I had some gastric issues. I had gallstones in my 20s and I had pancreatitis in 2002 and was in hospital. And the doctor then was like, your only alternative to continue living is to have bariatric surgery. And I just looked at him and, well, I didn't reply and say no because I wasn't talking back to a doctor because they're these perceived gods. And
Hmm.
it's never been on my to-do list. I have had friends that have had stomach bypasses, not just lap bands. They've had actual bypasses, and sure, they've lost the weight. But I always believed I could do it myself. Well, it's not myself. I'm doing it with the help of channels like yours and many, many others, and that kind of support. Um, yeah, I feel like I've sidetracked from your question.
Yeah. So you said you were on asthma medications,
Mm.
and you've been on carnivore since June. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of how many months that would be. So,
8.
yeah, roughly 8 months. Yeah. So in 8 months, you're now off of your asthma medications.
Yes. And as you can hear,
Okay.
no sinus. No, I mean, it was really bad. Like this area of my face was very up here and red. A lot of the redness is gone. I have no makeup on today, as you can quite clearly see, as it's 6 a.m. But it was so painful. I could never do that. That would be too painful. To even touch
Wow.
my face was actually, that's just occurred to me. It doesn't hurt anymore.
Right. So how do you feel about you lived with asthma for over 50 years,
Mm.
and inside of 8 months it's gone?
It's that whole thing of being able to take a breath. I many times, not many times, I guess because I've been keto-ish since 2017, I already saw a reduction in the amount of prednisone, courses of prednisone I was needing to have. I have had a lot of steroids over my lifetime.
Hmm.
Um, and antibiotics for infections and things like that. And even when I had COVID, it was like a non-event. That people were very worried about me because, of course, we were all led to believe that if you got COVID and you were obese and you had asthma, it was practically a death sentence, which it wasn't. It was a very mild. I think I had a stat dose of prednisone and then I was good to go. Pardon me. Sorry, coffee. um, and yeah, it's just the extra things with asthma. I mean, I was fairly well controlled. I teach singing, so I have very good lung capacity, and I also use my diaphragm to breathe for life. And I think everybody should because it's the way to go. And so I've never really like shallow breathed, if you know what I mean. It's always been a very deep kind of experience, and breathing like that is just so much better for you, especially if you're an asthmatic or have respiratory problems. And I went to Buteyko breathing lessons because I was trying everything with my daughter, And so we taught her how to breathe diaphragmatically from the age of 18 months. Interestingly, little babies, they automatically kind of do that. And it's just observing that and helping them to breathe like that. So that was a very interesting exercise. Sorry, that's my coffee maker just making noises.
The go juice.
Yeah, it does a self-clean. I love it.
Okay, nice.
I know Raymond would prefer that I wasn't drinking coffee or having it as a dessert, but I don't know. I'm still with the coffee. I'm enjoying it. So I'm like, I live remote in a little rural village, and
Y-
I can't just go down to the shop and get coffee, so I have it at home.
There you go. Well,
Sorry.
you do you.
Dog now barking. I don't know why. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I always saw asthma as very much part of who I was and my day to day. And now that it's gone, it's like it was never there, even in
That's
such a short
incredible.
time.
That's incredible.
Mm.
So you also spoke about arthritis in your hands. How long had you had the arthritis?
I think it had been building for about 10 years. I do a lot of playing as a musical director and a pianist. I've at times played for ballet companies, including
Hmm.
one company that used to come to New Zealand, the Mark Morris Dance Company from New York. And our Royal Ballet Company as a company pianist, but also for exams and all sorts of things, which I love. And I would be playing, and I feel no pain anywhere when I'm playing because I'm working and I'm focused. And then I'd stop and I'd be like, oh, that hurts. And to no longer have that, it's to have absolute freedom in my hands. I also love to knit, and I found that kind of was like good cross training, if you like, for when I wasn't playing the piano. And my hands would just ache. That's all gone. So if I wanted to knit continuously and play the piano continuously, I could. And I think that's the thing, we are supposed to be able to do all the things that we want to do without restriction.
That's
Um,
amazing. I love that. So what kind of arthritis was it? Like osteoarthritis or rheumatoid?
Osteo, yep, just
Okay.
overuse. This
Hmm.
particular finger is, as you can see, quite not very well formed. I smashed it between a pair of skis. I was carrying milk and bread on the back of my skis, back of my dad's skis, while I was skiing down from the where you get the milk and the bread down to the lodge where we stayed. So I had a massive load on, and I caught an edge and went tumbling over, and I mashed this finger in between the bindings and a set of skis. Um,
Ouch.
about 4 days before my grade 6 piano exam, my teacher was not impressed. And it never was set properly or anything like that. So it's quite mal shaped, but it works for playing the piano. That's all I cared about. So I don't have that ache. I think often injuries, the tendons shrink over time as we get old, especially if they haven't had physio to put them back the way they're supposed to be. And back in the early 80s, we didn't do that sort of thing. And I'm so grateful to not have that pain and just be able to play or knit or do whatever, and have that hand strength, not weakness.
Hmm.
Very grateful.
That's great.
It is.
That's awesome. So you also talked about your energy levels and being able to focus. Uh, what's the difference between what you were, let's say, on the standard, I guess, trash diet? Can't really say American for you, but and then on keto, and then now on carnivore.
Um, I think when the girls were younger and I was on my own and didn't have a lot of money. The go-to diet was very carbohydrate heavy. So I would get by on very, very little money. Um, I would make everything. So I would make scones and pumpkin soup and food like that for dinner, which is just pure carbohydrate. And that's what we kind of lived on, flour based products, cheap boxes of uh, pasta, you know, a lot of potatoes. It wasn't a whole lot of takeaways, or certainly I've never used seed oils. It's never been something, I don't think it's a big thing in New Zealand, to be honest. Or maybe I'm just not part of that. And I couldn't afford to buy takeaways, so it wasn't a whole lot of McDonald's. But it was a whole lot of very heavy carby type food. And then when I discovered keto, because I'm always been searching for a way to lose weight. That's it's always been the way. But because I've never been feeding myself food that really truly nourished me, I was
Hmm.
always hungry, or always wanting something else. I wouldn't say I was hungry. I was always looking for something else. And now that my body has been nourished, I don't look for anything. Zero cravings. Um, that is one of the biggest differences is from keto to carnivore. Keto, there were still cravings because you have the fake sugars.
Hmm.
No more fake sugars. No more sweet. No more sweet anything. Um, it's what we were always. I think what we were always craving is savory. Or people's like, are you sweet or are you savory? No one is truly sweet, because if you have something savory, my favorite food growing up as a child was macaroni cheese. If ever we went out, I got macaroni cheese. Mum made it all the time. It was delicious. I loved it. Pure carbohydrates, except for
Hmm.
the main ingredient. Well, not the main ingredient. The ingredient that makes it macaroni and cheese is the cheese, and the flavor is the salt. So probably what I was really craving all along was the salt. And my favorite snack rubbish food was always chips. Um, for the salt, obviously. So my body was saying, "Give me more salt."
Right.
Leave the chips. I'll just have the salt. Thank you very much. Um, and cognitive. Um, I don't know. I just. I kind of think I'm 60 in July. How am I able to focus on study to this level? I got one of my papers last semester. I got 93%. Yes, I was a bit of a brainiac at school. Things academic always came easily to me, but 93%. I got an 84 and an 86 and something else, and I don't believe I would have been able to achieve that even on keto, because somehow our mind is now able to, on carnivore, is able to channel in and laser focus. Um, Throughout my music career, and especially doing theatre, there's long periods of time where I need to be laser focused. As a musical director, you're running an orchestra and what's happening on stage, and you can't just allow your mind to drift off and think, what will I have for dinner? You have to actually stay in what you're doing 100% of the time. So I thank that part of my life for giving me the gift of mindfulness and staying laser focused. But this is different. There's clarity now in what I'm doing. I can read text once instead of reading it 5 times, going, what do they mean? I can
Right.
read it and I'm like, oh, I can transcribe it in my own words. I understand. Um, and I don't know how to describe that other than the word clarity. Uh, yeah. Does that answer your
That's awesome.
question?
Yeah, I love that. So you had mentioned that you had some digestion issues. Can you
Mm.
talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I think really for the last probably 20 years, it's been getting worse. And I think it probably has a little to do with anxiety as well. Um, once again, going back to music, and as a musical director, you are stuck in a pit where you can't get out for at least an hour and a half because there's a show running. So if you need to go to the bathroom, it's awkward. And I think it was an anxiety building up around that, going, oh no. And I was having so many gut issues, digestive issues, where I could spend 4 hours on the toilet easily. And I went on to a low FODMAP type of a diet, trying to eliminate foods and work out if it was a food that was actually disturbing. Doctors were like, oh yeah, there's just a blanket IBS, and here, take this medication. So I'd have medication on reserve should I feel ill, but I'd get terrible pain preceding it, and then I'd know everything was about to be disaster pants. And it was pretty dire. It's sometimes I'd be like, if I was having a really bad day, I would not leave the house. It was trapping me inside my home, not allowing me to do anything. Quality of life was deteriorating every time I went out. I was terrified, and of course I'd be making things worse with anxiety over the fact that I might have a situation, and that I live remote now. And on Saturday, I went over to a girlfriend's party, which is an hour and 20 minutes away. And last year I did 2 shows over in Palmerston North, our nearest main centre, and I would never have considered that in the past because I'd have been too terrified that I'd have had an accident, disaster pants, and that is all gone. I mean, that is also a game changer, to not have that. And I think my gallbladder just wasn't able to process the food when it reached the stomach in the way that it needed to. I think my gallbladder was just about to give up the ghost because it just wasn't working. It wasn't digesting food. And then you end up with the situation of, everything flowing through your colon super fast. And now I have learnt, even on carnivore, that I can't guzzle water while I'm eating. I have to eat food, let the bile and the other acids do their work in the stomach, and then have a drink of water. For me, I can sip while I'm eating, but I'm so used to like washing food down because we felt like we needed to. Well, we kind of did. We're having all that fiber and starch and everything else. Our body's saying, get rid of it. We don't want it. And I've learnt that if I don't guzzle water when I'm eating, I have a much happier time.
Yeah, I found that's pretty common with most people, and a lot of people, they don't even know that's a thing. So that's good information.
It makes sense.
So, what's that?
It makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's plenty of water in the food that we're actually eating.
True.
So there's really no necessity unless you have some kind of like peristaltic action where you can't actually swallow and you need to wash it down. But yeah, it makes total sense. So when you actually started the carnivore diet in June of last year, what made you decide to do that? Was it just weight loss, or was there another reason you were looking to search for answers and you found carnivore, or how that actually happened?
It was primarily weight loss. I'm not stupid. I'm aware that I can't stay this weight and stay alive. Something has to give at some point because I don't know. I think I've been very lucky and pushed the boundaries for a very, very lot for decades, 30 years, probably longer than I should have. And it's something I'd love to be able to talk to somebody, a doctor, and they tell me why. Why am I not diabetic? Why do I not have a heart condition? Why do I not have high blood pressure? Why do I not have all these problems? And I think it's because I've been fat, skinny all my life.
Hmm.
I I certainly haven't got to this size by minimally eating, but I have got to this size by overeating all the wrong type of food. Um, but I have also worked very hard to stay low fat.
Right.
Because fat makes you fat, right? Apparently not now, because that is all I eat is pretty much fat. I'm doing 80-20 at the moment. Um, and I was in a stall for a while and I thought, I don't care. Consistency. I believe consistency is going to get me where I want to go. I'm going to keep doing the same thing. So I refused to get despondent. I was sitting around 150 kilos for about 5 months. Nothing changed. And I thought, I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm not changing what I'm doing because I believe this is the right thing for me. And obviously, carnivore is healing all the other things at the moment that are wrong with me. I was told once in my 20s that I had an enlarged heart and an enlarged liver. Um, and I don't know what, nobody sort of said anything else after the enlarged heart. I thought, oh, maybe I just have a really big heart. I don't know. If it was
Right.
enlarged, wouldn't I be dead by now? I don't understand. I'd love
Hmm.
somebody to tell me how or why um, I've kept going and why I don't have other problems. Um, and yeah, carnivore is, I'm never going back. Never going to go back to, I will never have another drink of alcohol. Why? Why would I poison myself? Um, I won't eat vegetables and I won't eat fruit because I just, at this point, maybe when I get down to like a normal kind of a weight, I'd love to be around 80 kilos, which I guess is about 170 pounds. Um, and I haven't been that weight since I was 12. And
Wow.
I wasn't a fat 12-year-old. I just,
Right.
I don't know. Maybe my bones are bigger or something, and I'm able to carry more weight. Don't know. I'd love
Yeah,
to
that's
explore it.
likely the case. Yeah, usually people that carry more weight are, they're sort of predisposed to have stronger bones and a larger muscular system to be able to carry that around. So yeah, when you get to your goal weight, you're gonna be like Mighty Mouse. You're gonna be this little thing that's able to lift buildings.
Scary. There is one other thing that I guess is very significant, and that's menopause. I have had the easiest ride through menopause. From when I switched to carnivore, I switched to menopause overnight. Not even kidding. So for
Wow.
women and my girls who are, they're in their late 30s, mid to late 30s, they're sort of asking, well, okay, mum, what happened with you? Did you have lots of hot flashes? I'm like, no. Um, yeah, transitioned, if that's the right word, I don't even know, overnight. I had a year of kind of rubbish and then carnivore just fixed my hormones, which is what they say it does. And I can 100% agree. It fixes your hormones. And for a woman, that is key because it allows everything else to function correctly. Um, no more looking for some kind of a supplement to balance my hormones. I was never on HRT or any other supplements, but I was aware that something herbal might be useful to support because I certainly came into menopause very late, which often, if you are carrying more weight and therefore more estrogen, you do reach menopause later. But obviously, there's no right or wrong rule. Everybody has a different journey. But my experience was carnivore, menopause. Whoop whoop.
That's awesome. I'm happy that you're having better results, with menopause, because that can be somewhat of a challenge for a lot of ladies. So inside of our Healing Humanity Life community, which you're a part of,
Mm.
Coach Lisa Pickert, she talks about menopause quite a bit in relation to fatty liver disease.
Right.
She believes that the majority of the symptoms that come from or that women experience is actually just fatty liver disease. So that would make sense that now that you're carnivore, you're sort of reversing potential issues that you had with your liver
Mm.
and feeling better as far as the menopausal symptoms.
Yeah, very, very lucky. I think we're only aware of things if we're actually affected by them. That doesn't mean to say they weren't there. We don't know how things surface, do we? They can surface in many different manifestations, I think. Um, my hair is up today. Well, it's away because I've just woken up. But I haven't had long hair ever in my life. My mother never liked me having long hair. She thought I looked awful. That was her words.
Oh no.
So after she passed away, I just kept growing it. And I don't dye it. I have a bit of grey hair, but all the ends, it's all still brown. I've never dyed my hair. Um, and I, the first 3 months of going carnivore, I could see these new brown hairs growing. I was like, well, that's a bit cool. It's like a youth serum. And I've never had a lot of wrinkles on my face. I think that's probably natural Botox with carrying more weight. And I'm sure my face will continue to trim down and I will get more wrinkles, but I don't really
Yeah.
care.
Well, yeah. Well, you'll be feeling 1,000 times better than you were. So it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So what's your typical day of eating look like?
My typical day, I do start with a black coffee. Um, it's probably not the best thing to do. I think I should probably start with water, but I don't eat until 2 or 3 most days. Some days I might have weekends. Sometimes I treat myself to a meal at 11 o'clock, which will be bacon and eggs. Or if there's some leftover meat from the night before, then I might have that. Um, Generally, it'll be something with eggs. Uh, I'll have 3 eggs and maybe 5 rashers of bacon, or strips.
Hmm.
Um, Scrambled eggs, or poached, or fried, or any of the above. Don't really care. But so yesterday I didn't. I had leftovers at about 1 o'clock from the night before. I had a whole lot. I purposefully cooked a lot of meatballs with cheese in the middle, tiny bit of cheese. I don't go overboard with cheese. And
Hmm.
some of the meatballs I'd wrapped in bacon. So I had a few of those and also a couple of hard boiled eggs. So that's one meal. And then I'll have another meal of probably a similar sort of a size. Uh, I had ground beef last night that I made into little sausage shapes wrapped in bacon. Threw them in the air fryer. And that was 500 grams of mince, which is about a pound, and about 7 rashers of bacon. And I couldn't eat it all. I got down 5 and I was like, come on, have another one. And there was still one left. I was like, no, I can't. When it stopped tasting good, you're like, okay, set that aside and have it as a snack tomorrow. Um, and I always nibble on butter. I love to make brown butter bites, and I've got a chocolate mold, and it's very, very thin. It's imagine if you used to buy like Lindt chocolate. Do you know what I mean? The European, and it's
Oh
very
yeah.
thin.
Oh yeah.
So I make that, and then I make several of these little molds. I should buy more molds, and put it in the freezer. And if I feel like I need something, I'll snack on that. Butter is often a pre-dinner snack. Not a huge amount, like 25 grams, which I guess is, I don't know, a couple of tablespoons, 3 tablespoons, something like that.
Hmm.
And that's it. 1 or 2 meals a day.
Wow. So at any point, when you're eating these meals, try to draw a comparison between now that you're on carnivore and how you're eating versus when you were trying other diets. Are you hungry on carnivore? Because a lot of people listening to this will probably think, "Man, she's not eating very much," right? Like she might be sort of like starving herself a little bit. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So from time to time, because I am aware of that as well, I've been an undereater for decades. I'd go from undereating to obviously overeating. I do put it into my Fitness Pal sometimes just to check. And it's around about 2,400 calories a day is what I'm eating, minimum. And that's more than I've eaten for decades, calorific, wise on a consistent basis. A pound of ground beef is, I can't remember the actual macros. But yeah, the calorific value, which I no longer place any weight on, um, is more now than what I've ever eaten. I 100% know that. And not only that, it's nutrient dense food instead of nutrient empty or nutrient non bioavailable. We've been eating foods that we've been told we should eat that have all these nutrients in them, which I'm sure they do. I'm not disparaging that they don't, but they're not bioavailable to us. So it's kind of like, why are we eating 500 grams of
Right.
spinach a day when it's, yeah, we get far more of the actual nutrients we need from meat, from eggs. We're very lucky here that our eggs haven't gone into the ridiculous situation that they have over where you are. I can buy a dozen eggs for 9 New Zealand dollars, which I guess is about 6 US.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's not super cheap, but it's accessible. Our meat, I see sometimes people post New Zealand meat that they've been buying it in the US, and it's cheaper than we can buy it. Crazy.
Wow.
Um, yeah, meat is not cheap. So I do have a lot of ground beef. I do have pork belly, which is hugely calorific and very high in fat and extremely delicious. I love pork belly. And if I have chicken, I always add bacon to it. Like I'll slice it, or I'll have thighs or wings or something that is a fattier cut, and then I'll wrap it with bacon so that I am getting that high calorific value. And
Right.
I also will slice chicken breast and egg and breadcrumb it. And when I say breadcrumb, I mean pork panko. We can buy not dehydrated, it's dried pork skin, and then you just put it in the air fryer, and it crispens up and becomes lovely big bits of pork crackling, and then you can grind it down for pork panko. Because we don't have a Costco in New Zealand, we can't buy pork panko. So that
Wow.
adds lots and lots of fat to the chicken, which I think is important. You can't just eat chicken; it's just not a fatty enough meat. So I'm definitely not under eating. 100% know that.
So you're eating a lot of calories, but yet you're still losing weight. That seems a little crazy.
Yeah, and to be eating fat, lots and lots of fat.
Right.
20% to 80 ratio is kind of where I'm sitting. I decided to up my fat um, because I was in the stall for so long, and I thought, okay, well, obviously I need more. Um,
Hmm.
and if I put on weight, obviously I don't. And I've started losing again. I've lost another 5 kilos in the last,
Incredible.
I don't know, 6 weeks.
Hmm.
And I felt a real change. And I know it's not just mindset. I'm wearing trousers, pants today that I couldn't wear 2 months ago, um, and
I love that.
they're loose, and I couldn't get into them 2 months ago. And yeah, my clothes. This is ridiculously massive. Like this is supposed to be up here, but I don't care. Um, I'm not going anywhere today. I'm studying at home, so I don't have to be looking all put together, shall we say. But yeah, my
There you
clothes,
go.
I'm looking at my summer wardrobe and I'm thinking, I think I should just toss it all because I'm going to be needing new clothes next summer.
Yeah, that was a challenge for me too. I was wearing bags for a while and I was up to 2XL in some clothes. And now I'm down to medium and sometimes a small. And it's like, I do still have like the 2X and put it on. It's like, holy cow, this is like a bed sheet. I don't understand how I ever wore something like this. But yeah, it's a never ending process when you're losing weight. Like, I got to go buy more clothes that fit now because these are looking a little ridiculous. But yeah, it is what it is. So you had mentioned that you got to a point at a recent meal where you sort of ate to a point where you couldn't eat anymore.
Mhm.
Now let's compare that with eating a standard diet and you're eating something like pasta or breads or sweets or something like that. Do you feel like when you were eating those foods that you had that same off switch?
Um, Not the same, definitely not. I would at times, very irregularly, but still it happened. I would buy three pizzas and eat three pizzas. I mean, not giant pizzas, they're about the size of a laptop. But still, I would eat three pizzas and I would go past the point of feeling unwell and keep eating, you know. Um, and it still tasted good. That's the difference. Because it still tastes okay, we keep going. Um, but with meat and with the way I'm eating now, I can eat the same meal every day. That never happened before. I would never eat leftovers. I couldn't have the same meal twice. Um, I never liked the taste. I needed something new. And that wasn't the case. It wasn't that I wanted something new. It was that I wasn't being nourished. So my brain was going, come on, give me something that actually is going to um, give me some nutrients. And I didn't. It was more carbs. And there are no essential carbohydrates. There are none. And that is a fact. It's not me just saying something coming out of my mouth. It's a fact. There are no essential carbohydrates. There are essential proteins and there are essential fats that our body needs. And it's like I think when we start feeding our children as babies, that's where it goes wrong. Um, you give children vegetables and they spit it out and cry and yell and all the rest of it. Well, they were right. They're not stupid.
Yep,
They knew.
that's
Don't
right.
give me that rubbish. If you give them a chop to chew on, they're like, hallelujah. Or give them bacon and they go crazy. Um, you give them ice cream and they go crazy too. But of course, the element in the ice cream is not the sugar that they're enjoying, it's the fat. But we've just been misled and lied to. And I remember when I came to that realization, we've been lied to. We've been lied to. I just got so mad. We've
Yep.
been lied to about so many things. And I was like, food pyramid is upside down.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I try to look at it more from the perspective of myself now. Like
Mhm.
I believed that stuff. Like how could I have believed that stuff? And now I'm far more critical now about what I let into my mind. And that's one thing that carnivore has definitely helped me to achieve is to sort of understand these pathways of information that come to us and you know where what the I guess what I'm trying to say is certain information channels are funded by certain corporations or
100%.
groups or whatever. And yeah, so I just try to be more conscious of where that information is coming from and what I believe. So try to lay the responsibility on myself a little bit more because
Yes.
it's not, I guess it's not illegal to lie.
No.
But so yeah, we should be a little bit more cognizant or understand more of what's actually being presented to us and filter through it a little bit better. So that's why we have you here on the channel, Katherine, is to spread the word. So Is in terms of your family, has there maybe been good reactions or what kind of reactions has your family had in regards to how you're eating?
Um, Nothing negative. Um, my middle daughter, who was a chronic asthmatic and is now a half marathon runner, she's about to do her fifth already this year, and her go-to in the morning is spinach and blueberries and protein yogurt and things like that. And I'm just like, oh lordy, lordy. I will not tell them how to live their lives. I will show them things. I will not contradict what they're doing, but I plan to lead by example. So they've lived with an obese mother all their life. That has been their journey, and that is time to change. And I can only lead by example, and they know. My eldest daughter is very much keto. She knows carbs don't serve her. She and my youngest daughter has, who had got heavier than I did, has lost all her weight through starvation, basically, and severe restriction. But that's her journey, and she's 35 and she's got the weight off. So God bless her, because her life will be better for it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you've done it by restriction, which I really don't condone, um, she's in a better place, mind, body, and spirit. So hallelujah. The middle daughter, because she runs so much, does not have weight issues. And my eldest daughter, with two children, it's a battle. The whole estrogen and hormonal thing is ongoing. And unfortunately, all my girls did have the COVID vaccine against my advice and suggestions. So they are battling health issues. Clearest, my
Mm-hmm.
eldest has just come off a 3-week stint of COVID and then strep throat. So I've actually just sent her a protocol of nattokinase and bromelain that Dr. Peter McCulloch suggests to help cope with all of that. So hopefully she will do that. But her husband is a wrestler, IPW, IPW is New Zealand's version of the American big ring wrestling, and he's been the country's national champion many times in a row, actually. But now at the age of 43,
Oh,
he
wow.
needs to pull it back. um, but they're very much into their fitness and their weight training, and their training and clean eating, and they don't have a lot of carbs. But she's seeing what I'm able to do, and with carnivore, and they are meat eaters. So hallelujah to that. They'll come to it in their own time, I am sure. So
Mm-hmm.
no negativity. And my best friend, everyone has always been incredibly worried about me because of my size. Of course, they're like, we need you to stick around. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that. I get that people have been worried. Um, and one of my friends is still a little worried. She's like, but you're not having any fruit or vegetables. I'm like, no. What do you reckon? Don't I look better? So I think lead by example. We can't bring people. We can bring people to the water, but we can't make them drink, right? And change will come by you doing what you're doing, me doing what I'm doing, sharing my story, which is not, there's no fiction here. It's only fact, and it's real experience. My real experience is so many health benefits being on carnivore and food freedom, no cravings. Um, no cravings. I saw a friend on Saturday, and I was in a group of 10 women. Not only am I no longer the biggest, not even the second biggest or the third biggest, which is not great. I wish they were all a lot smaller, but that was new for me. Generally, I'm the biggest person in the room. I'm certainly always the tallest, and that didn't change. I'm still the tallest, but I'm no longer the biggest. And I kind of walked around with a lot more pride. I felt really good. And one of my friends, she's like, Kath, you're doing so well. And one lady who hasn't seen me since 2020, she didn't recognize me. And she's a doctor, she's a GP.
Oh,
And I
wow.
could see her just looking at me, and she didn't ask or anything. It wasn't that kind of a get together. We're at a pub. Where I just drank sparkling water. Well, they had loads of cocktails, not interested. And the food was greasy platters, but also Kate knows that I'm only eating meat. And she got a cheese board. So there was meat and cheese there, which was very kind of
Very cool.
her. But yeah, no longer the biggest person in the room. Kind of cool.
That's awesome. I love it. Very good for you. What I wanted to ask you now is, so you started for weight loss. You're trying to control this weight issue that you had. And if someone out there is looking for a way to control their weight or maybe reduce their weight, finally get it off, get on the right path, what would be your suggestion for them?
My suggestion is you can't go straight into carnivore. You have to do it, I believe, a meal at a time, and you have to nourish yourself and not expect weight loss. Weight loss will happen as a wonderful side benefit from healing everything else that is going wrong with you. Um, and it's like anything, it's a process. So, the first thing to start with would be the first meal of your day, which is an easy one, where the change is not so drastic, um, unless you've been eating cereal and porridge and bread forever. But swapping to bacon and eggs, I think for most people is manageable. Uh, and from there, you just start moving into your second meal, which is just maybe you don't have as many vegetables on the first kind of week, and you just drop out one food at a time that you've been adding in over your meat and your eggs. And I think too, if you're a lot of people are ketovore, stop the sugar substitutes. Um, they're, I think, going to damage and put people back to where they were the quickest. Anything, sugar, dropping sugar substitute drinks. I know a lot of people, so I still need my Diet Coke. No, you really don't. Um, and just swapping out things, I think, for cleaner substitutes like sparkling water. We drink fizzy drinks for the fizzy. Just have carbonated
Hmm.
water. Um, and after a while, your palate changes. So sparkling water actually tastes sweet. Uh, brown butter bites taste caramelized, taste like salted caramel. And give yourself a chance because you're worth it.
I love that, Catherine. That's excellent advice. I really have enjoyed our chat today and getting to know you a little bit better and what fuels you more than just meat. And I really would like to explore sometime, talk about your experience with music,
Mm,
because I'm a huge fan of orchestras and composers like John Williams and Hans Zimmer.
yeah.
They're some of my favorites. I've seen them actually play in person. And
Oh,
yeah, I'd love to chat sometime about that. I really appreciate your time. So, if anyone wants to connect with you, is there a way that they can connect with you? Do you have a channel or anything like that? Or are you just kind of off the radar?
I do have a channel, but I haven't really done anything with it. You can reach out to me. My email, kathcar2014 at gmail.com. You will also find me on Facebook, Katherine Carr, and Instagram, Kath Carr, under that same Gmail handle. But yeah, I welcome anybody to reach out if they have any questions at all, and or people that need support. Um, I have plenty of extra time in my life to help all the people, um, and it's such an easy thing to do. Just to have a chat, have a Zoom with somebody if you're not sure about something and you have questions. But of course, the wonderful communities like Healing Humanity Life is incredible. The app that you guys created is just wonderful, and I should delete Facebook and just have that app on my phone, have no others, and use that as my
Right.
Facebook to scroll in the morning. And steak and butter gang, because I'm a very poor student at the moment, that's not in my budget as well. But I do jump on all the lives and whatnot on YouTube. Having YouTube on our TVs is that's my TV. I don't watch really anything else. I like watching you
Uh,
guys and seeing what you're up to, and because I feel very disconnected over here in New Zealand. You have all these cool meetups, and I know Lindy's having one, but that's in Melbourne. It might as well be in Austin, Texas. Um, so I feel like I can share in what you guys doing, what you guys are doing by being a part of this podcast, and also just tuning into your channels.
well, thank you so much for the kind words. I truly appreciate that. And I am very hopeful that one of these days we will get out to New Zealand to have a meetup, first and foremost. But secondly, selfishly, I want to see the set where they filmed Lord of the Rings because I'm a huge fan. So,
There's so many different places, and it's so accessible. Hobbiton is obviously incredible. A friend of mine got married there. That was amazing.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I'm heading down to the South Island in July. Um, it's my happy place. Mountains, rivers, lakes. It's yeah. We're just so lucky. It's so accessible. It's not cheap, but you just jump on a ferry and drive on down. I mean, obviously you can fly, but it is beautiful. Milford Sound, Doubtful Sound, Queenstown, all of Central Otago. It's glorious, and yeah, it's something you have to see in your lifetime. We're very lucky here in New Zealand that we have a little snapshot of the entire world just in two little islands.
That's amazing. Yeah, I will be there one day. So I'm
Good.
going to manifest it.
Yes.
And we're going to have to hook up. And if we don't have a meetup, I'll at least hook up with Katherine and have a steak.
100%.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Katherine. I appreciate you. And we'll talk soon. Bye for now.
Bye, Adam.